Hey everyone, welcome. It's Vince coming to you live about 1 hour before the market closes here on Wednesday. And we're going to take a look at the Tesla chart live. And here we are at 379, 1 hour until the close. And let's see what's happening this week and what we can expect tomorrow, because tomorrow's a big day with Q1 deliveries coming out. So we can see that this candle, this big red candle, is how we opened the week with Monday. We made a new low closing for 2026 on Monday. But on Tuesday, we got a big gap up, a big plus $16 day. And then today, of course, we had another big gap up, and we're up currently about $7.50. So there's a lot to be bullish about, right? Well, not exactly, because we haven't really changed anything at this point. It's a good start, but as things stand right now, there's no change in structure. And the reason I say that is when you look back to where price was and where it is now, we're basically still in a downtrend, which is defined as lower highs. You can see that every high that we've tried to make during this whole sequence has been lower than the last. And we don't know where this current candle sequence is going to end, but at present time, we are still lower than the latest high, which was back on March 25th. So until that trend breaks, we have to remain cautious and not get overly optimistic, even though we've had a $25 move in the last 2 days. And you can actually look at this chart and say, well, you can make a good case on the bear side that this $25 move that we had in the last 2 days is just an oversold bounce. And I've put up the Bollinger Bands here, and you can see that on Friday and Monday, we had 2 consecutive days that actually closed outside the lower Bollinger Band. And so that's a rare standard deviation occurrence, which does have probabilities lean to a bounce when that happens. So you can make a case that that's just a dead cat bounce that we're getting right now too, until we get more proof that it's something more. We've had other bounces like this in the past too, like over here, just a week ago, we had a couple of days that closed below the lower Bollinger Band. We got a 3-day pop after that, only to make a new lower low after. And over here too, we had a similar 2-day closing below the lower Bollinger Band, and we had a nice pop, but again, it eventually faded. So I'm remaining cautious into the binary event, which is the Q1 deliveries tomorrow. And as far as my prediction goes, I don't have one. I don't care what the numbers are. What I care about is what the reaction to the numbers are, because we can have a beat or a miss, and price can go either direction on either scenario. And what I'm talking about, a good example here is we had earnings back at the end of January, and that was actually, this candle here was actually the day just before the earnings came out. And you can see that ever since the earnings came out, we've been in a downtrend. We actually never closed one day higher than the day before earnings. And the earnings themselves were actually a good beat. On the earnings per share, we surprised to the upside, 10% higher than consensus was expecting. On the revenue, we also had a small beat, but it was a double beat. Yet it was the reaction that mattered. So we saw a double beat, but the market said we're going lower. Now, a lot of this decline that we've been in has a lot to do with macro as well, too. It's not just Tesla. And with tonight, we have the president speaking about Iran as well, too. So there's another market catalyst, could go either way, that could affect not just Tesla, but the overall market. And that reaction from the speech tonight has the potential to override any result of the Q1 earnings tomorrow as well, too. So just keep that in mind. It's not just about the Q1 earnings. There's macro events going on as well, too, that the market's watching. So if we zoom in here, really what it's coming down to is a battle of the gaps. So we had a nice run last week and then quickly sold off. We actually left a gap behind here because we closed on Wednesday, the 25th of March, right at this level, and we actually came back up to it pretty close, but actually never closed that gap. So we do have an open gap right here, right around that 386 level. There's an open gap there. And of course, today we gapped up from yesterday's close and we came down a little bit, but not all the way. There's an open gap below us as well too. So which way price goes above or below these gaps is really going to give us a lot of hints on what's going to happen next. Because if we start closing candles above this gap at 386, then all of a sudden we have this previous high in sight. And if we take out that high, that'll be something new that we haven't seen in a while, is Tesla making a new high compared to the previous high. On the flip side, we have a gap below, which is where we gapped up today. And if we start losing this, well, that wouldn't look that great on the chart, because then you'll have this candle today kind of in an island by itself. And if we gap back down, then we risk having a bearish structure continue, basically the structure that we've been in ever since the all-time high. So I think where we gap tomorrow is going to be very important. And I would pay attention to these two gaps, the one above at 386, as well as the one below at 372. And not just filling these gaps is important, but also where we close. If we can close above the gap or below the gap on the bearish side, filling the gap isn't enough. We need confirmation to close through the gap. So I'll leave you with that into the close. We are starting to go up a little bit here too. So there is some buying happening, even though we do have a couple of binary events happening in the next few hours with the president's speech and the Q1 deliveries coming out. There is some buying still happening here. So we'll have to see how this candle closes. And I put a poll out actually to the public on X. And I asked, what's your plan ahead of Q1 deliveries? And most people said that they're going to just hold through. They're just going to ride the volatility and see how this plays out. That's 71%. And then we had 14% saying they're trimming some now. They're going to see how things look tomorrow. And then we have 15% saying they're actually going to short this. It looks suspicious to them. And most people are just going to hold on and see how this plays out. Well, we've seen different shapes in this candle today. It initially opened up with a big gap and then started selling off. It then made a new high. It then came back into the middle zone to be like a doji candle. Now it's starting to press towards the highs again. So we'll have to see how this closes. And that could give us some more information into the close. So thanks for stopping by. I do full analysis on my X account at VOL888. Hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone.